Celestial encounter. The twin suns of Meridian cast prismatic rays through the forest canopy as Nia Jensen adjusted the settings on her collection device. Sweat beaded along her brow despite the environmental controls of her research suit. 6 weeks into her expedition, and the planet still managed to surprise her each day. "Remarkable," she whispered, watching as a spiral-shaped plant unfurled in response to her proximity. Its petals emitted a soft azure glow, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. As an empathic botanist, Nia could sense the plant's reaction, curiosity without fear. She logged her findings with careful precision. "You shouldn't touch that one," came a melodious voice from behind her. Nia spun around, nearly dropping her equipment. Standing several meters away was a tall, lithe figure partially obscured by dappled light. As he stepped forward, Nia saw him clearly for the first time. His skin held a subtle iridescence, shifting between deep blue and violet depending on how the light struck it. His eyes, entirely silver with no visible pupils, somehow conveyed both caution and interest. "The Lumina Spiralis only blossoms for those it trusts," he continued, approaching with graceful movements. "You're fortunate. It usually takes months to earn such regard." "I didn't mean to disturb it," Nia replied, studying the being before her. The Meridians were notoriously private. This was her first encounter, despite weeks of research. "I'm Nia Jensen, botanical researcher from Earth Science Academy." "Tylen," he offered simply. "Guardian of the Western Groves." His gaze traveled to her collection devices with unmistakable suspicion. "I'm only gathering data," she assured him. "No samples without permission. Your world has healing properties unlike anything we've discovered." Talen's expression softened slightly. "The Council mentioned your presence was authorized. They did not mention you were an empath." Nia felt her cheeks warm. "You can tell? The Spiralis wouldn't respond to you otherwise." A distant rumble interrupted their exchange, and Talen glanced skyward with sudden concern. "The alignment approaches. You shouldn't be this far from your base." Before Nia could respond, the ground beneath them trembled. The sky darkened rapidly as 3 moons slid into perfect alignment above. "We won't make it back," Talen said, his voice tight. "The Temple of Echoes is nearby. It will provide shelter." Without waiting for her agreement, he grasped her hand. His touch sent an unexpected warmth through her, different from human contact, like gentle electricity that awakened every nerve. Nia followed as he led her through a winding path to an ancient structure carved from living crystal. As they entered the temple, the doors sealed automatically behind them. The crystal walls began to glow, responding to the alignment outside. "We'll be here until morning," Talen explained, creating distance between them again. "The alignment disrupts the magnetic fields. Even your communications will be affected." Nia nodded, suddenly aware of their isolation. In the crystal-reflected light, Talen's features appeared even more striking, strong yet delicate, familiar yet utterly alien. "Then perhaps," she ventured carefully, "this is an opportunity. I have many questions about your world." Talen's silver eyes studied her with an intensity that made her pulse quicken. "As I have about yours," he admitted, "though my people would counsel against such curiosity." The air between them seemed to vibrate with unspoken possibilities as the alignment continued overhead, locking them together in their crystalline sanctuary. Bioluminescent truths. The crystal temple hummed with ancient energy as hours passed. Nia sat cross-legged on the smooth floor, her research equipment arranged beside her while Talen paced the perimeter, occasionally touching symbols etched into the walls. "Your people built this place?" she asked, breaking the silence that had stretched between them. Talon paused. "Not my people. The ancestors, those who inhabited Meridian before us." His silver eyes reflected the pulsing lights. "We are merely caretakers of their legacy." "Like these sacred groves you guard," Nia observed. "Yes." He approached, finally settling across from her. "Your kind has visited before, you know." The statement hung heavy in the air. Nia sensed his reluctance, the carefully controlled emotion beneath his composed exterior. "Not all encounters were positive, were they? 20 solar cycles ago, researchers like yourself came with promises of exchange. They left with samples of our rarest flora, plants that took centuries to mature. His voice remained even, but Naya felt the undercurrent of loss. They synthesized medicines that made their corporations wealthy while offering nothing in return. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "That's why the Council restricts outside contact now." Talon's expression softened slightly. "Yet they permitted your research. My approach is different. I study symbiotic relationships, how species evolve together. Taking without giving back creates imbalance." She hesitated before adding, "I'm not here to exploit, Talon." The alignment outside intensified, sending waves of light rippling through the crystal walls. Suddenly, a section of floor illuminated, revealing a hidden passage. "The temple is responding to the alignment," Talon explained, rising to his feet. "These pathways only appear during celestial events. They lead to the heart of the temple, and possibly an exit." They descended into a network of tunnels lined with bioluminescent fungi. As they walked, Naya noticed Talon's movements becoming more fluid, less guarded. "You said you're an empath," he said as they navigated the glowing labyrinth. "Does that extend to all living things or only humans?" "All living things to varying degrees. Plants communicate more simply than animals or people, but they have their own awareness." She smiled. "Your meridian flora practically sings to me. And what do you sense from me?" The question was asked casually, but Naya detected genuine curiosity. She considered her answer carefully. Caution, responsibility, and beneath that, loneliness perhaps? Talon stopped walking, his silver eyes widening slightly. "Guardians serve alone. It's our tradition." "Traditions can be honored while still allowing connection," she suggested. They emerged into a vast chamber where crystals formed a perfect replica of Meridian's solar system. The alignment above sent light cascading through an aperture in the ceiling, bringing the model to glowing life. "It's beautiful," Naya breathed. "This is the celestial map. The ancestors used it to track planetary movements." Talon moved closer to her, their shoulders almost touching. "Few outsiders have ever seen this. Thank you for sharing it with me." His hand tentatively brushed against hers, a gesture so subtle it might have been accidental, except for the intensity in his silver gaze when she met his eyes. "Perhaps," he said quietly. "There is wisdom in new perspectives, after all." The map glowed brighter as the alignment reached its peak, illuminating their faces in soft, otherworldly light. Two beings from different worlds, finding unexpected understanding in the heart of an ancient mystery. Forbidden connection, dawn broke over Meridian, the alignment ending as the trio of moons dispersed across the lavender sky. Naya and Talon emerged from the temple into a transformed landscape. The previous day's vibrant forest had evolved overnight. Flowers that were buds now stood fully bloomed, their petals releasing spores that drifted like golden snow. "The breath of renewal," Talon explained as they walked. "It happens only after an alignment." Naya reached out, mesmerized by the floating spores. "They're beautiful and potent. We should return quickly to your research station." His tone carried new warmth. "These spores affect different species unpredictably." They traversed the altered forest, with Talon pointing out rare specimens that would interest her research. His knowledge was extensive, his passion evident, a guardian who truly loved what he protected. Naya found herself watching him as much as the flora he described. Halfway to the station, the first symptoms appeared. Naya's vision blurred at the edges, her steps becoming unsteady. "Talon," she murmured, reaching for support. "Something's wrong." He caught her as she stumbled, concern etched across his features. "The spores," he said, pressing a hand to her flushed cheek. "Your physiology is reacting to them." "My medical kit, at the station." Her words slurred as fever took hold. "We won't make it in time." Decision hardened in his silver eyes. "There's another way, but it's complicated." He lifted her with surprising strength, carrying her to a small clearing where massive leaves created a natural shelter. Laying her gently on the soft moss, he knelt beside her. "Our healers use essence from the Valian root for such reactions. There's a grove nearby, but—" he hesitated. "Using our healing ways with outsiders is forbidden without council approval." Naya's empathic senses, heightened by fever, felt his internal struggle, duty to law versus the immediate need before him. "I won't tell if you won't," she whispered through parched lips. The ghost of a smile touched his face. "Rest, I'll return quickly." While he was gone, the fever intensified. Dreams and reality blended as Naya drifted in and out of consciousness. When Talon returned, she was barely aware of his presence until cool liquid touched her lips. "Drink," he urged, supporting her head. "The essence will counteract the spore's effect." The liquid tasted of starlight and earth, bitter then sweet. As it worked through her system, clarity returned gradually. She found herself leaning against Talon's chest, his arms around her for support, one hand gently stroking her hair. "You broke your rules for me," she murmured. "Some rules deserve questioning." His voice rumbled against her ear. "How do you feel?" "Better." She shifted to look at him, suddenly aware of their closeness. "Thank you." Neither moved to create distance. In the golden spored light, Naya saw Talon differently. Not as an alien being, but simply as someone who had chosen compassion over convention. Something unspoken passed between them, a recognition that transcended their physical differences. His hand hesitantly traced her cheek, exploring the texture of her skin with gentle curiosity. Naya's breath caught as his touch sent waves of sensation through her empathic senses, his wonder, his conflict, and something deeper, warmer. "This is unwise," he whispered, even as he leaned closer. "Wisdom is overrated," she replied, closing the remaining distance between them. Their first kiss was tentative, an exploration of the unknown. Their second was not, divided worlds. The summons came at dawn 3 days later. Talon stood before the Council of Elders in the Grove of Judgment, head bowed respectfully but spine straight with resolve. "Guardian Talon," intoned Elder Varys, her ancient face etched with disappointment. "You have violated our most sacred protocols. The healing arts are not to be shared with outsiders." "She would have died," Talon responded simply. "That is not your judgment to make." Elder Nalith leaned forward, his silver eyes clouded with age. "And reports suggest your involvement has extended beyond medical necessity." Talon remained silent, unwilling to deny what had grown between himself and Naya. The quiet conversations, shared discoveries, and gentle touches that had filled the days since the alignment. "The human researcher will complete her approved studies under supervision," Varys announced. "You are reassigned to the Eastern Territories until her departure. There will be no further contact." Across the settlement, Naya received similar news from her research coordinator via communication link. "The Council has restricted your access to certain groves," Dr. Everson explained, his holographic image flickering. "And your liaison is being changed. On what grounds?" Naya demanded, though she already knew. "Apparently, you've developed an inappropriate relationship with your Meridian guide." Everson's expression was sympathetic but firm. "Naya, we can't afford complications. This research agreement took years to negotiate." She wanted to argue but knew it would only make matters worse. "I understand." The following weeks passed in agonizing slowness. Naya threw herself into her research, but every discovery only reminded her of Talon, his insights, his quiet humor, the way his iridescent skin caught the light when he laughed. Her new guide, an elderly Meridian named Sorrel, was knowledgeable but distant, offering facts without passion. Through him, she learned that Talon had been sent to the remote Eastern Territories, effectively exiled for his transgressions. Then came troubling news from Earth. Interstellar Communications delivered a private message from Dr. Everson. "Advanced team from Biogen arriving next month. Corporate interest in your preliminary findings. Partnership opportunity." Naya's blood ran cold. Biogen's reputation for exploitation was well known, exactly the type of corporate predator Talon had warned about. Their arrival would threaten everything unique about Meridian. That night, she made her decision. Breaking protocol, she ventured alone into the forest, following the path Talon had once shown her to the sacred spring. There she performed the ritual he had described, placing her palm against the ancient tree and sending her thoughts outward. Whether it was Meridian's mysterious properties or simply coincidence, 3 days later, Talon appeared at the edge of her research camp at nightfall. Thinner, his iridescence dimmed from weeks in the harsh eastern climate, but unmistakably him. "You called," he said simply. "Biogen is coming," she replied, pulling him into the shelter of her research pod. "Everything your people feared, it's happening." As they huddled over her data, formulating a plan to protect Meridian's ecological treasures, the touch of his hand against hers rekindled everything they had been forced to abandon. Their eyes met in shared purpose that transcended mere attraction. "We'll need to present an alternative to both the Council and Earth Science Academy," Naya said. "A sustainable approach that benefits both worlds." Talon nodded, his fingers intertwining with hers. "Together, then." "Together," she agreed, the word carrying promise beyond their immediate challenge. Harmony of Souls. The council chamber fell silent as Naya and Talon concluded their presentation. The three-dimensional model of their proposed conservation plan rotated slowly above the central table, a collaborative approach that would share Meridian's healing knowledge while protecting its most precious resources. Elder. Varys studied them with ancient eyes that had witnessed centuries of Meridian's history. "You risked much by returning without permission, Guardian Talon." "Some principles transcend obedience, Elder," he replied. "Protecting Meridian is my sworn duty." "And you, Researcher Jensen," Nalith turned to Naya. "Your own career could suffer for opposing this corporate initiative." Naya stood tall beside Talon. "Science should serve life, not profit. I believe in this plan." What followed was hours of deliberation, questions probing every aspect of their proposal. As sunlight faded from the chamber, Varys finally raised her hand for silence. "We have witnessed something unprecedented," the Elder announced. "Not merely a plan for conservation, but a true bridge between worlds." Her gaze softened. "Perhaps we have been overly cautious in our isolation. And perhaps what has grown between you is not a violation of our ways, but an evolution of them." 1 week later, the Biogen Advanced team arrived to find a united front, the full Council of Elders alongside Earth Science Academy representatives, presenting a comprehensive agreement already ratified by both parties. Their corporate exploitation plans quietly dissolved in the face of the diplomatic breakthrough. As seasons changed on Meridian, the Collaborative Research Center took shape at the edge of the Western Groves. Naya's empathic approaches to botanical study became the foundation for a new methodology, one that honored the consciousness within all living things. Researchers from Earth worked alongside Meridian Guardians, each learning from the other's perspective. In the quiet evenings, Naya and Talon would walk the boundaries between worlds, the research center on one side, the sacred forest on the other. Neither fully belonged to either realm anymore, having created something new between them. "The Council has asked me to establish a new Guardian Order," Talon told her one evening as they stood beneath Meridian's 3 moons. "One dedicated to sharing knowledge rather than simply protecting it." "That sounds suspiciously like teaching," Naya teased, taking his hand. The familiar electricity of his touch still sent warmth through her after all these months. "I prefer wisdom sharing," he replied with the slight smile that had become more frequent. "They've suggested you might help develop the curriculum, if Earth Science Academy would extend your assignment." "About that," Naya said, turning to face him fully. "I've been offered a permanent position here, Academy Liaison to Meridian." Joy spread across his features, his skin illuminating with happiness in the twilight. "You're staying? If you'll have me," her voice softened. "This place has become home in ways Earth never was. And you?" He drew her close. The differences in their physical forms long since forgotten in the familiarity of embrace. The Elders have a saying, "Souls recognize each other beyond the boundaries of form." "Is that your poetic way of saying yes?" She whispered against his chest. His answer came not in words, but in the gentle joining of his lips with hers. A kiss that spoke of boundaries crossed, worlds bridged, and futures entwined under the watchful gaze of 3 moons and distant stars. In the heart of the sacred grove, the Lumina spiralis that had first brought them together now flourished in unprecedented abundance, its azure glow a testament to possibilities that emerge when different worlds find harmony instead of discord.